Greetings to you all, viewers all over the world, participants. Let me start by appreciating the organizers of this summit. I want to especially thank Keeping Children Safe for this global summit. It is one important subject that has been sidelined, and it is significant that you brought it to this platform to be discussed on a global scale. I am Dr. Nabie Francis. I'm a specialist surgeon and public health expert. I'm the chairman, board of trustees, Divine Benevolent Care Organization, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. I also coordinate the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. When this invitation first came to me, I considered something I also thought was very important, which has to do with orphans and vulnerable children. But because of our correspondences, I was again further directed to focus on the issues of safeguarding children and education. So this session, I'd like to share with us my perspective of this very important subject. And I will just briefly consider this outline. I will look at the introduction, those key terms, principles of safeguarding. Are there policies that should be in place? Of course, yes. What are the challenges? In Nigeria's situation, how is it like? Recommendations and conclusion. Now, by way of introduction, it's important to understand keyword. What is safeguard? Now, if we are talking about safeguarding, what does it mean to safeguard? It simply has to do with to protect from harm or damage with an appropriate measure. So anything one does to keep a child away from harm or damage is an act of safeguarding. Now, who is a child? An individual, of course, below the age of 18. I know there are variations globally, but this is an acceptable definition of a child. So what is safeguarding? It simply refers to the general promotion and well-being of the child. It involves actions taken to promote the welfare of children and protect them from harm. So safeguarding children is about recognizing that the best interest of that child is paramount. That is key. Again, I'd like us to understand that safeguarding is a broader subject. It goes beyond just the act of protection or prevention. It's a holistic aim. Why? Because there are several other things that may not be physical one is protecting. For instance, you protect the child from bullying, you protect that child from sexual exploitation, you protect child from radicalization, you protect child from self-harm, you also protect children from forced marriage. And again, the last but not least, of course, from harmful traditional practices, which we know commonly in Africa we are talking about female genital mutilation. So these are areas we protect. There are a lot of cultural issues that tend to put the child subject below what they are expected to be. And those are issues we put. So when the actions we take through education, through workshops, through seminars, through supplies, through support, just to ensure that the child is kept away from harm, just to ensure that the child is protected, is an act of safeguarding. And what are the principles? Of course, empowerment is a key principle, prevention is a principle, protection is a principle, proportionality is a principle, partnership is a principle, and accountability. Now let me just touch them a little. When we talk about empowerment, what are we talking about? If a child must be safeguarded, that child must be empowered. What does it mean to empower? To add value, to improve on what the child originally has to a better state, so that that child can stand the test of time and stand tall against the heat. For instance, that's why it's also very important when we talk about education. If a child is empowered mentally, empowered educationally, and that child is educated, of course that child can stand up to say, no, I don't need to do this. I need to be this. This is my future. This is my aspiration. These are my dreams. So empowerment is a principle. You cannot safeguard a child that is naive or true. Because you are absent, that child will be denied access to his or her right. Of course, prevention, that one is certain. It could be primary prevention, secondary prevention, in any way. But prevention simply has to do with bringing a barrier between that child and harmful environment or harmful situation. Protection, of course, that intentional space created to pull out that child, to keep away the child, that is protection. Proportionality is actually what I will explain, because this is actually where so many homes are also failing. It has to do with a corresponding response to action. If a child break a glass of water, that child should not be beaten as a child that killed someone. So what this proportionality explain? It simply has to do with punishing a child to the level of the offense, to the level of the crime. Because when that happens, that child feels protected. That child can be corrected. But when a child feels abused by reason of actions of punishment and all that, it means that the response to the offense is not proportional. Partnership. This is very important. The world all over talk about sustainable development goal, and global about global partnership. The truth is, nobody has it all. There is no facility that has all the strength. If you have all the money, you may not have the security. If you have education, probably you may not have other social services and supplies. So it is important to partner, get strength from others where you are not strong, such that you can deliver maximum to the child you are safeguarding. And this is one strength that I want to score the Divine Benevolent Care organization in Port Harcourt High. Because recently they have partnership with the Nigerian Police Force. They have partnership with sister organizations that have been existent before. They partner with government agencies. They network just to ensure that the areas of their weakness is being strengthened by the strength of higher organizations, the one they network with. That will add to the business of safeguarding. If you want to train the child in school, you don't have money, but you partner with funds and you are giving scholarship. That is the way of partnership. It's a principle of safeguarding. So, caregivers all over the world, home managers, home operators, perhaps you not really look at the soil, but it's important you begin to partner. Look out there. There are organizations that have similar vision like yours. You can partner with them. They will add to what you're doing and they will improve your work. And you yourself will be happy doing that. Then accountability is very important. I like to say that this is somewhere also so many are failing because it's holistic. You are expected to know every detail about a child under if you are safeguarding that child. You must know the clothes. You must know when the underwear are torn and the rest. You must be able to know every detail, including medical and social history of that child. Because that is the only way you can speak about the child. You can't safeguard a child you don't know. Safeguard it because if the child is harassed and you don't know that child, you may not also know. Why? Because you've not been accounting for that child. So it's a key principle. And I want to encourage all of us, viewers all over the world, to key into it, to the principles as we look at this subject of safeguarding. Now, like I said earlier, policies must also be in place if children will be well safeguarded. Because when an organization is not regulated by policies, then anything goes. For instance, a facility is expected to be ruled or to be directed by policies, the don'ts and the do's. And certain elements must be brought in so that the child can be properly safeguarded. One of those will have to be accountability and reporting policy or protocol. It must be in place. What does it mean by that? It means every concern regarding that child must be to the best interest of that child. It must be accounted for. It must be reported. There must be a child protection file kept in a safe place. It's not for public consumption. For instance, if a child is raped, it's not enough that the child has been taken to hospital and treated. No, that's not enough. Whatever has been done to that child must be documented, must be filed, must be recorded, and must be kept for future reference. Such that if at any time there is a need for referral, such can be given, can be referred to. It protects the child. It keeps the record of that child the way it should be. Another protocol that will be in place in this era is behavior protocol. There must be do's and don'ts that must be in place, written down in every home. Home operators, home managers must know this. What is the aim of this? To minimize risk situations. Children that are being safeguarded must have a policy that must regulate them from being available to vulnerable environment, from predisposing themselves in a compromising setting. What does that mean? If they are sent on an errand in a distant place, they should not be left alone. There should be an adult going with them. Whenever possible, they should not be alone. They should not be isolated. And they must be taught of flash incidents so that they will recognize when they are in danger. Their behavior must be smart and there are policies. So on no account, there are don'ts for home operators. Should a child be alone in situations that are unhealthy, that are unfriendly, or leaving a child in a car and going on a long journey and the child is alone in the car? That's risky. Such child can be kidnapped. Or leaving the child alone in an apartment overnight, alone, without a security. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Again, we should minimize undue favoritism to children because it predisposes them to recklessness, to radicalization. We must also bring in policies directed at sexual behavior. They should know what they should do. Even if they are children, we should know that they might not be physically strong, but they are physiologically matured. When a child has attained, or the female child has attained physiological puberty, in other words, have attained that they have seen her period, even if he's 14, and she has attained her period, that child can be pregnant if exposed to unprotected sex. So, again, on no account, home managers must know that child must not be exposed to sexually provocative games that will arouse as sexual settings. Should not be involved in unguided hugging and kissing and inappropriate or culturally insensitive way, and should not be sleeping on the same bed with children of the opposite sex. Why? Because there are physical changes that will trigger sexual behavior. Physical policies. Policies must be in place to protect them from physical injuries. If there are trees, because they live in an environment is space, biological environment, physical environment, and social environment. In the physical environment, they are exposed to trees. They are exposed to harmful materials. There must be policies where you shouldn't tread at a particular time. They should not be allowed to carry out, to be exposed to undue alcohol, cigarettes, illicit drugs. And again, caregivers, home managers should desist from consuming alcohol or cigarette or illicit drugs in the presence of the children. They are not safeguarding them. Because the truth is, they are more prone to doing what they see than what they are taught. So, physical policy should be in place to protect them from physical injuries. Now, it is also important to look at, having considered behavior protocol, what again should we look at? Because we've talked about sexual protocol, we've talked about physical, and what are the challenges? Of course, there are challenges. One of those challenges was poverty, limited access to education, sicknesses, challenges of health, security instability. Now, poverty will do more harm even when one knows what to do and he has not what to do. And poverty has a direct relationship with the educational process. For instance, if there is funds, the child has tendency to be enrolled in a setting with better academic standard. So safeguarding children actually be faced with the threat of poverty at home or facilities. If we are home caregivers and home operators may not be able to deliver maximum what they choose or they intend doing for the children. Why? Because they are lacking financially. Again, it's not just financial poverty, but also poverty of the mind, mental poverty. These are all challenges. And that's one of the benefits or one of the take home from this platform, from this summit, that where there have been passive ignorance on the part of home operators, we should have come to terms that where there were no policies have to be written. Where there was no protocol, there must be protocol in place. So again, another challenge is limited access to education. But like I said, it's a function of education, of finances, it's also a function of the environment. Yes, there are difficult areas, there are also societies and communities with challenging or poor educational setting because of the settlement or the settings of the environment. But again, it's a challenge. It can actually limit the level to which a child will be empowered. Health issues, infections, sicknesses, children with HIV and AIDS, children with terminal illnesses. Of course, safeguarding them is a lot challenging because even when you take them to hospital, while you do the much you could, it's also an issue challenging their well-being, challenging their survival. Security, instability, war, and all that. These are things that predispose them to a lot of, because if a child can be trapped in a particular environment, but all of a sudden there is a war breakout and they are educated to another environment, and where they get to is not friendly. They move from a place that was peaceful to a place dominated by cults and transalism and all that. And you have a lot of issues to contend with. So in the summary, when you look at that, you see that there are actually challenges. But these challenges, of course, they are surmountable when, and that's the essence of this summit, to bring to the minds of all operators what it takes to safeguard children. So what is the Nigeria situation? Safeguarding children is a global concept. It's something that has to do with all over the world. There are children, and in any environment, what is done to a children A should also is expected to be replicated in child B or thereabout. But in the Nigeria situation is a little different. I like to speak here because I am a Nigerian and I live in Nigeria. We talk about poverty as a challenge, and here we are. Poverty is endemic. Poverty is all over the place, and it poses a lot of threat to safeguarding children. Now, poverty, one of the challenges of poverty is that it corrupts the minds. It deadens appetite for the truth. It hardens the heart. And where poverty prevails and there is poor educational enrollment, then you have a lot of children on the street. You have a lot of children of the street. And when you have this crop of children on the street, those that live there, those that visit there, then crime becomes high. So most of the uprising we see, the cancer, the youth restiveness, and the likes we see from this set of children is still tied around the issues of the Nigerian context, which is the poverty that have bedeviled the land. And safeguarding children is not an issue with a lot of parents, a lot of homes, a lot of caregivers. So what are my recommendations? I like to recommend to viewers all over the world, to support groups all over the world, even to funders, that the case of safeguarding is a subject that is of utmost importance. It should be prioritized. But the challenges faced in the business of safeguarding is enormous. Funds are needed to homes. Funds are needed to home operators, to facilities, to orphanages, and the rest. And I like to recommend that keeping children safe should take note of all the partners that are working with them on this very important subject. And where possible, assess them to funding sources, such that driving the principles and driving the policies and running the business of children's safeguarding will be carried on with little or minimal stress. By so doing, the business of safeguarding children all over the world will be an awesome task that will be handled with ease. In conclusion, safeguarding children and education is key to societal development. A society devoid of children will be lacking in tomorrow's development. So, let's put our hands together, support keeping children safe, support firms and organizations, and put our hands together to see to it that the business of safeguarding is delivered maximum. Thank you.